Yeah, so Gatsby is an open source project. It's basically a React.js static site generator. And yeah. And I've been working on it. Ignore that. I've been working on it for the last couple years, and I've been working on it full time for like the last 6 months or so. So run through a few slides and then so forth. So from San Francisco, you can follow me on Twitter if you feel like it, whatever. Gatsby's a React static site generator, or you can think of it as like a JavaScript web framework, which I think gets at where I'm trying to go better than static site generator does. So the last few years, there's been, if you haven't noticed, there's been a lot of energy, excitement, investment in web apps. So Angular, React, Vue, Webpack, Babel. There's just been enormous amounts of talk and whatever. Just everyone's kind of like jumping into that. Huge companies are betting their products on these. Spending a significant amount of time like building out new stuff. Like in Silicon Valley, I mean, like everyone's switching to React. It's kind of crazy. Why is that? It's simply because JavaScript-driven experiences are better than a plain Jane website. You can build a lot more interesting, interactive, immersive experiences than some HTML sitting on your screen. And also, I mean, on the web, of course, we're competing against native apps, which have had like this kind of like really rich experience from the get-go, and so we're playing catch-up, so we don't die. Yeah, the big advantage of the web is you can deliver it to anyone in the world for free, very cheaply, or not. Well, kind of some of those, but okay. So anyway, so Gatsby's goal is to kind of like take this like web app, all these web app ideas and tooling, and make it easy to build websites with it. Kind of marry the two worlds. And so, so thinking about Gatsby, it's like, what does a modern website framework have to be? It has to be fast. Like fast is like non-negotiable. If your website isn't fast, then like what's the point? It has to be JavaScript driven because that's where the rich experiences come from, which your users want. It has to be cheap and operate and run. The internet is getting larger and larger, and the amount of money you can make is getting smaller and smaller for many things. And so if it's really expensive to run your website, that just makes all sorts of business models not possible. But if it's super cheap, then you can like do more interesting stuff. Ready for the next billion internet users. So right now there's, what do you say, there's like 2.5, 3 billion people using the internet? 3.2. And that's about half the world, which means there's plenty more to come that we use on the internet. And what's the kind of common, whatever for the next billion internet users is that they're all going to be accessing, the internet through their smartphone, and they're going to have crappy internet connection. They're going to be on like 2G, 3G, and like, intermittent connection, often be offline, and so on and so forth. And so any sort of like web framework, built for today's internet needs to like handle that sort of use case. And of course it needs plugins and themes, etc. And so anyway, so Gatsby's trying to like hit all those things. So some big ideas of Gatsby, it's like you build everything in React. I think React and its component model just kind of like nails building web stuff, and I can't imagine using anything else. So that's what it is by default and everything. So Babel, Webpack, they're awesome for all sorts of webby stuff, JavaScripty stuff, and so, but they're kind of a pain to set up, and so they, Gatsby ships with all that pre-configured for you. So you just install Gatsby, and like everything's ready. You just start writing React, and like, things work. And then, so as the static site generator, it generates HTML for every page of your site, but it also generates like a JavaScript version of that, so that when you load a Gatsby website, it loads the HTML first, so it's like, it's really fast to load, but then it like pulls in the JavaScript to make that live, which has two interesting things to it. Like first, it's really easy to do interactive stuff. It's not like, oh, let's do the static thing, and then like, oh crap, we need something interactive, so we'll throw in jQuery and then whatever, It's just like JavaScript from the get-go. So if you want to do something interactive, it's just in your component, and it's like, it's very natural to do like rich interactive stuff as part of building your website if you need it. What's also cool though is that Gatsby also loads in the JavaScript needed to run other pages. So you load a page, and then you click on another page, and it just does a client-side, path shift and rendering, which makes Gatsby sites like super quick to load and super quick to click around the site as well. So this is kind of like universal JavaScript. You might have heard that term. And also, it's like this is really important to me. It's oriented around data, not use cases. So there are many static site generators which are like very clearly intended to be running blogs, which is great. Blogs are great, but there's many types of websites, and so Gatsby is very agnostic to how you use it. It just says, here's data, and you can do stuff with data, and you like throw it into components and whatever. And so I've built a number of like very varied types of stuff, and like people have like built all sorts of like weird things with it. And so I think it's proving that this was a good direction to go. It also happens to be good at blogs too. But anyways, so progressive web apps. This is a googly thing, but it's a really good idea. It has a anyways, who's here actually heard this phrase? Okay, so solid majority. Anyways, Gatsby, basically every Gatsby website's a progressive web app. So, okay. Yeah, so let me jump into like a few example websites. So this is the work in progress Gatsby website. It's version 0.0.0.1. So it's coming along. It's public, but it's not really like real. Like I'm working on a 1.0 version of Gatsby, and this is like going to be launched at the same time as that. So it's mostly to be ignored. But anyways, so like clicking around the website, it's like I click on something, it like loads immediately. Sweet tutorial. Has a blog. You click on that. You saw there, kind of like there's like a little blur, and then like flashing with the image. So it kind of like automatically does that sort of thing for your images, which is a neat optimization. Anyways, so that's that. This is a Medium clone I built for a company, though they didn't launch it for some reason, so I don't really know. Clients are weird. But I got the money, so I'm like, okay, cool. But anyway, so this is like completely driven by Markdown files and images, and like all the thumbnails and everything else is generated like using in Gatsby. And like you click on a post, and it's like boom, it's there. You click back, it's like super fast. It has like author pages, so it just like with like bios and stuff. And you click on this, and it has like tags, everything posts into startup, on and on. And then here's my blog, which is much more boring, but it's like similar stuff. Like click on it, has tag pages, browse all tags. What have I written on Linux? Ubuntu 6.10. It's an old blog, if you know your Ubuntu history. Anyways, here's another site. These guys are like 3 blocks away, so Brooklyn loves Gatsby. Anyways, like again, it's really fast. They use like Sass. So Gatsby has full support for all sorts of different like styling stuff. So they use Sass there. I don't know. Whatever. So yeah, so it's like you make good looking sites that are really fast. This one's kind of fun. So this is like a German illustrator, and they added this like fun little interactive thing where you like do that, and he made all these drawings. And so, and if you refresh, you can like do it again. Apparently there's like, he did like 100 and something different drawings. And it's cool because this is just like a little React component, that they threw on there, and it has some like, I don't know what it is. I don't know exactly how they built it, but anyways, it's just some sort of JavaScript-y thing. Yeah, and you click around, and it's like, everything's like super fast. Then here's an example site I built with 1.0, just to kind of show off like the image processing and stuff. And so it's Gatsbygram, and it's a very literal copy of Instagram. And so like you can like click on things and like click through. But you notice up here that like the URL's changing. So this is like this actually like works completely without JavaScript. So if you like. Actually, I'll show you that. So if you turn off JavaScript, you know, now wait, JavaScript's still going. Okay. Okay, it didn't really turn off JavaScript. Sorry, what? Oh, that's right, yeah. I don't ever turn off JavaScript, so I forgot that. Okay, let me try that again. No. Oh, maybe. No, that's weird. Okay. Oh wait, maybe it doesn't work without JavaScript. Clearly I never tested this. It should work without JavaScript. Anyways, I'll fix that. Yeah. I wrote a case study on this if you want to like read it. It's very long. Cool. So that's some Gatsby sites. So I'm working on 1.0, and here's some cool features that are going to be there. So first, it has service workers, thanks to Jeff here. It's powered by a tool he works on called SW Precache, soon to be superseded by the latest and greatest service worker, generation. But anyways, what's cool though is like you get service workers, which has some really neat caching properties, but also by default, your site works offline. So if you build a Gatsby site with 1.0 and like the offline plugin, it'll just work offline, which is fun. And often quite useful. It does like code splitting and data splitting. So it automatically just like, for each page in your site, split out what code and data is needed for that. And so as you so it loads in the minimal amount that's needed for each thing. Yeah. And also I don't have a slide on this, but one cool thing is it has a new kind of so it uses Webpack under the hood to power most of the stuff, but it also has like a new data layer powered by GraphQL, which lets you hook up any number of kind of like data sources or backends to like suck in data and build your site from that. So like many static sites, of course, are built from, data, files managed by Git, like, Markdown files or YAML files or JSON files or something like that. And like, Gatsby works perfect for that. But there's more and more, kind of like externally hosted services, like where you're getting data from, like Contentful, that we heard earlier. And so you can have like a Gatsby plugin, which goes off to those services and then exposes that data while you're building. And then in each, and then like when you're writing your pages. So this right here is the React component that's for this blog index page. And so it's like, if you've done any React, it's normal. It's like render function, like returning div and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But down here, you have this GraphQL query, which defines exactly the data that's needed for that page. And so you're saying, like, basically it's kind of like querying a table. We're saying, like, for all Markdown posts, it has like a sorting thing. It's saying any draft posts, don't get, and then it's also using a regex filter to only get Markdown files that are in the blog directory. And then you can say for each node, get these fields. You want like an excerpt, so like this is the excerpt here, and then you want like the title, the date, and you can actually like, format the date there. And then also for the author, so this is kind of the graph part where author is actually a different data type. But you can like, in a GraphQL query, you can like jump between data types. So it's like, for the author of this post, get the ID, which is like the name. And then for the avatar of that author, get like responsive version of their image, at this width and this height. And that all gets returned as a little JSON thing, which gets injected in your React component, and then you build from that.
Are you querying like the file systems? Is that,
yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
But you can query sort of anything?
Exactly. That's kind of the point. So like this site is all, because it's, it's the documentation site for Gatsby, it's all in Git. But, for many sites, you don't want to like be, telling your clients to like work with Git. So you could have like Contentful or some other like hosted CMS where they edit it there. And then this query would just be like, like all contentful blog post or something like that.
Is that query the only way you expose data? Like if you did it, was there a previous version before you did the GraphQL layer where you'd be able to pipe in like something like a YAML file, front matter YAML files? The question was, before you had this GraphQL interface, which is the file system, was there another way, or was it just like how were you getting the data?
Yes. So the first version of Gatsby, you could either like directly import YAML files or whatever files,
like Webpack,
or it had this idea like this pages directory where if you put like a JSON like file there, that would be treated as like a page, and then that JSON file would be automatically run through a component that was responsible for that. The problem with that though is like it's not very flexible, because like if you're just like it's kind of like push versus pull. So if you just have like content and you like push through templates, like that works for some stuff, but it's much better to treat like your data as kind of like this pool of data, and then you like pull out the data that you need for different pages. That makes sense. Anyway, so like static site generators are great, but they tend to be kind of inflexible. Where database-driven sites are like very flexible, but like they're more complicated. You know, there's a lot more operational costs, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So Gatsby's trying to like marry like that advantage of being able to like pull out the data you want from your quote-unquote database with the the simplicity and low operational cost of static sites.
So to do your server side, like to do the static rendering, it's in this example it's reading the file system.
Yeah. And
then it's stored, it caches that somewhere so that when it does a client side, it's just pulling from a cache, like a local.
Yeah. So this Gatsby's build process, it just runs these queries at build time and then outputs them as JSON files. So your site ends up being a bunch of HTML files, like some JavaScript bundles, and then a whole bunch of little JSON files. That is the data for each page. And so when you load a page, so like when you load Gatsbygram, and you look at the network, if we do a hard refresh with the JavaScript, it loads in like a page component. So every page has like a component that's associated with it, kind of like drives that page. It has the path, which is like the data file thing for that. Then it has like a commons, which is like just like framework code, and then app, which is like app specific. These are kind of weird. I don't need to rename these. But anyways, yeah. So, so it's like each. So then if you like click onto another thing, it loads in the component bundle for that specific page type, as well as another data thing. And if you look at this, you can't really read it, but you can see it has like post, it has like username, it has the number of likes, it has like the text, anyways, the stuff you see here. And then it has for the image, it has like source, and it has like source set, and whatever. So it's the result of the GraphQL query. And then, so anyway, so that makes it usable both on the server and like for the server rendering and in the client rendering, universal JavaScript. So it can just like, it has the data on both sides, and can do a full render.
Would it fetch that from some generated JSON?
Yeah, it's just like, yeah. It's just on the file system, and like, you throw it on any static site hosting thing, and it just works. So, yeah. Yeah. So I've probably been talking long enough.
All right, I think the question. Yeah. So we'll go to Jeff.
Yeah.
I mean, any specifics?
I'm gonna ask an hour later. So when you load the page initially, it does get statically built. So are you just loading HTML files?
Yeah, it's just a simple HTML file that gets loaded.
But then when you click to subsequent pages, that fetch do the AJAX calls from data.
Yeah. So yeah, because this is like the purple pattern where it like does like initial you want the HTML so you have a really fast initial load, but then you want to pull in resources for other places that the user might go, so that you're not then waiting on the latency of the network request to do other things. and the integration with service workers is really important because service workers are kind of like a low-cost way of pre-caching things. Because you can like just pull stuff into memory, but then you're incurring like memory cost and like the parse, the time to like parse the JavaScript. But with service worker, you can just like pull in the stuff into the service worker, and then the file, the JavaScript data is sitting there, and then as soon as you click on something, it just goes out and grabs it from the service worker, and like it's very quick to then be live. But anyways,
you don't discriminate. Like everything is pulled, right? In this example, like you said you would prefetch something that would be maybe the logical next place the user would go. But in your example, you're just pulling everything, right? You have the build version, which is the static files, and then you have the JavaScript version, which is basically everything else, right? You're not like only preloading the next 3 logical places. You're just getting everything.
Well, that's configurable.
That's most of my question.
Yeah, for smaller sites, I think it makes a lot of sense actually just to prefetch things. Like my blog, every bit of JavaScript is like 300 kilobytes.
But you can configure. That's fine.
Yeah. I think the default I think will be like pre-cache like global JavaScript bundles, but then like when you have like a link to something, then just also pre-cache that, so that whenever you click on something, it's like already there. And that, I think that strikes a nice balance between, speed and not downloading the whole world when you get started. So you just kind of like gradually pull in everything as you click around the site and do stuff. So, yeah, other quick questions before Jeff comes?